Isn't it fascinating? Everything is going up today, all altcoins are green. So in the end, it seems like not to really matter what specific altcoin to pick over here. It's more important to figure out where the macro is going. What's the overarching trend? Because correlation in crypto is a real thing. When Bitcoin is going up and Ethereum is going up, then pretty much all of the altcoins are going up as well. But let's not fool ourselves. What we're seeing here is a rally in an overarching bearish trend. It's a correction of a correction of a correction. We first went up, then we came down. Now we're going up again within the downtrend that, by the way, started at the beginning of December of last year. The altcoin market lost 32% of its market cap in the matter of a few weeks. Now, what's this vertical line over here? It's the day when it became clear that Donald Trump won the election. And since Donald Trump is very much pro-crypto, prices tended to go up until a point. So that's a rally of 85%. But now the excitement is waning. But overall, Trump still seems to have been a net positive impact on crypto so far. But here's something interesting. One might expect that when there's positive regulation around crypto, that especially the altcoins should be outperforming. And initially that was true, but not anymore. So this is the others dominance, or how many percent of all of crypto is in the altcoins that are not in the top 10. And we've got the same date over here, the 5th of November 2024. And at the beginning, the altcoins outperformed the rest of crypto by quite a bit. But that has reverted completely, even though crypto prices are still up since the Trump win. The altcoin dominance is not. Now, what caused this turnaround? Why are we suddenly declining in the altcoin market cap? I think here is one of the answers. The Trump meme coin got launched on the 17th of January of this year. Now that corresponds to this red circle on the altcoin market cap chart. The Trump pump and dump was not positive for all of crypto. The launch rather marked peak exuberance in the market. Now, in the last 12 months, in the last year, Bitcoin went up by 15%. So the market was expanding, prices tended to go up on average. So this is what we see over here. This is Bitcoin, it's up 15.2%. And this is a list of the top 100 altcoins ordered by their performance in the last year. Now, there are 18 altcoins that performed better than Bitcoin. Two of those altcoins, by the way, are just gold derivatives. So not really altcoins, they simply reflect the gold price. So we have 16 altcoins that did better than Bitcoin in the last year. In other words, there were 83 altcoins that performed worse than Bitcoin during a market phase when prices tended to go up. Now this tells us something, right? It tells us that picking individual altcoins is a game against the odds. When you are purchasing individual altcoins, you have to be extremely selective. You can't just own 10 or 20 altcoins and hope for them to all outperform. Chances are that you're going to do worse than BTC. The worst performers were WorldCoin, Immutable X, Arbitrum, and Polygon. And pretty much all of those tokens performed that poorly because their supply expanded quite massively. Or the tokenomics worsened. That's the case for Polygon. I say this in almost every video on this channel. Most altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin most of the time. There are the occasional altcoin seasons though, right? So it is about to potentially identify when that is. When do the altcoins actually perform better than Bitcoin? When does the vast majority do better? And one way to potentially determine this is to just look at the past. This is the Bitcoin dominance. So how much of all of crypto is in Bitcoin? It's a percent measure with a maximum value of 100% or 0%. It tends to hover between 73% and 37%. There were two major altcoin rallies. One happened at the beginning of 2018 and another one happened at the beginning of 2021. And there was an intermediate altcoin rally in the first half of 2020. When the Bitcoin dominance is going down, that means that the altcoins outperform. When the Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means that the altcoins tend to underperform, as they have in the last year. Now, when does altcoin season happen? What kind of price action in Bitcoin do we see during those times? have a look at this. This is the Bitcoin price during the same time period. What we've got over here is a 10x in Bitcoin's price. So Bitcoin's price accelerated massively. The appreciation was very, very quick. That's then when people moved from BTC to the altcoins. Something similar can be said for the second altcoin rally that started in Q3 of 2019. Bitcoin made a 3x very quickly. And the altcoin rally that started in 2019 again was the result of a pretty quick price appreciation for BTC, right? And almost 10x in the matter of a few months. So what seems to be happening fundamentally is that Bitcoin experiences a bull market, that prices appreciate very, very quickly, a heated bull market. And at that point in time, when prices are already high, people tend to move potentially their Bitcoin gains into the altcoins, or simply new people enter the space, see already the high Bitcoin price, and they're looking for the next Bitcoin, right? The thing that can still do another 10x. Because Bitcoin at the time when it already made a 10x just in a few months, is probably not going to make another 10x in the next months. So it's always about the next opportunity. So altcoin season tends to happen when the market is extremely heated. Another way to look at this is to look at the delta from a moving average. So what we've got here is the 50-day moving average. And when we are very, very high on that indicator, in other words, when the Bitcoin price appreciated very, very quickly, we tend to potentially see altcoin season. There's quite a bit of correlation between the difference from the 50-day moving average to the Bitcoin dominance. And that can explain why we haven't really seen altcoin season yet. First of all, the Bitcoin dominance isn't yet at 70%, but also the appreciation of the Bitcoin price didn't really happen that quickly compared to prior bull run. We went up slow and steady. And so the case of buying Bitcoin was still reasonable, right? When we go up very, very slowly, then the reference price also adjusts. And then when we are at, say, 100K, it might still look reasonable that we go to 200 and 300K. But if you go very, very quickly, say from 50K to 100K in the matter of 1 week, then it's less likely that we're going to 200K the next week, right? The more heated the market is, the quicker it appreciated in the past, the more likely it is that we're going to see altcoin season. Right now, we are of course very far away from that. Again, most altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin most of the time, even during times of slow Bitcoin expansion. We have to be very, very hot in the Bitcoin price. We have to double and triple within a year to then subsequently give the altcoins a chance to outperform. So this gives us a first hint at what point in time it might make sense to buy the altcoins over Bitcoin. But the question now is, does it make sense to even hold Bitcoin, right? Are we already entering a bear market, or is this a dip worth buying? Now, I believe we might be entering a bear market, but the data isn't yet 100% clear. Because check this out. At the top, we see the stablecoin market cap. When this is going up, we see money flowing from the traditional fiat system to crypto. When this is going down, it means that money is flowing out of crypto back into fiat. And of course, there is some correlation with crypto prices, right? So this is Bitcoin at the bottom. When the market isn't expanding anymore, then of course, crypto can go down easily. So this was a drop of more than 60% in Bitcoin. But even while we're still expanding in the stablecoin market cap, while there's still money flowing into crypto, we can already see a first correction. So this was a drop of 40% in Bitcoin. So why are crypto prices going down when there's money flowing into the crypto space? The answer is that people just swap away from the risk on assets, right? So when you're currently holding altcoins, but you're very worried about crypto, you might not necessarily directly withdraw all your money into fiat. You might just swap over to stablecoins. This is how those corrections here are formed. But for a full-blown bear market to occur, for an overall correction of 75%, we also need the turnaround in the stablecoin market cap. We also need to see money flowing out of the crypto ecosystem. This is not what we currently see. We still see money flowing in. So we are at the beginning potentially of a longer term bear market, but we are still at the beginning stages. We are still at minus 20%. And historically, we have come down all the way to 40% before we saw the stablecoin market cap coming down. What triggered this contraction in the stablecoin market cap? It was the implosion of the Terra Luna protocol. So the UST stablecoin went belly up. And during during that contraction, FTX also imploded. We got other horror stories as well, right? Like Three Arrows Capital, etc. We are very far away from that. We are very far away from mass capitulation. And so another 20% down from here is definitely in the realm of possibility. And at that point, we then have to see how people start taking money out of the system. Maybe this time things accelerate a little bit because traditional finance is already starting to delever. This is the Nasdaq 100. This is technology stocks. They've already corrected 12%. It's a similar correction to the summer of 2024. But let's see where this goes, right? Let's see if we have a similar correction to the COVID crash, because that crash definitely had an impact on crypto. Crypto lost in the span of 2 days more than 50%. And so yeah, technology stocks are coming down. Gold is holding up relatively well. Price to earnings ratios for stocks are still at historical highs. So are price to sale ratios, or the price to book value, again, of the entire S&P 500. And the government is highly levered as well, right? The government has to deleverage as well. And deleveraging always comes with a potential contraction of the economy. So this is the debt to GDP historically for the US. We saw a contraction between 1946 to 1980. Those are actually quite interesting macro cycles to look at. Most people underestimate the volatility in asset prices because most people, at least watching here on this YouTube channel, including myself, started investing after 1980. I was born in 1986, and since then we saw an expansion of the government debt. So it's basically just stimulus all the time, and with that an inherent increase of the price to earnings ratio of stocks. So stocks are now way more expensive than 30 to 40 years ago, and they might at some point come back to regular levels again, right? This would be a drop of maybe 50% from here. There's a rather dated but still very, very useful video around the topic. If you've never watched it, I highly recommend you spend the time. It's published by Ray Dalio. So that's a hedge fund billionaire. It's called How the Economic Machine Works. It's got 42 million views, was published 11 years ago, but it's still worth watching because it shows how leverage creates those cycles. And now when we look at all the data, it seems like we are rather at the higher end of leverage. And so I like to take risk when it makes sense, right? I bought a lot of Bitcoin after it dropped 60, 70%. I put a lot of my net worth into BTC. I even took on a personal loan in order to buy Bitcoin at $20,000 to then sell at 70K and then afterwards at 90K. But then there are other times where it makes more sense to be risk off and to buy things like gold and to potentially even short risk on assets. I believe we are currently living through times like this. Let me show you something. This is the Telegram channel of the premium membership of this channel. And I'm currently making a lot of money by shorting altcoins. So over here, we've got Chainlink. Chainlink went down by 42%. I opened a short just a few weeks ago and then closed it and made money when the price went down. The same is true for the short position of Cake. So Cake underperformed BNB by 27%. Again, easy money. Have a look at this trade announcement where I closed my short for Doge. Dogecoin underperformed Bitcoin by 32%. So I'm announcing all of this in the premium membership, right? There is a way to make money with this. And so I do announce whenever I enter or exit a position, and there is good money to be made. Again, most altcoins underperform Bitcoin most of the time. And that's the mistake that most people make, right? Most people just want to buy the risk on assets when prices are going up, but they're not taking advantage of falling prices, and actually making money with falling prices is much easier if you know, of course, what you're doing. If you got some value out of here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. Feel free to also check out Premium. The link is down below. It's at bitcoinstrategy.com. See you next time. Cheers.